Welcome, everybody, to our current energies discussion about April energies. I just finished the forecast and recorded this for you. So, with the recording for this webinar, you're going to get the forecast as well. Welcome, everybody. So good to have you here. So, it's the Easter Saturday here in the United States, Easter Sunday, and some of you guys is places. So happy Easter to everybody. I hope you can hear me all right. Just a quick sound check here. Yes, all right, wonderful. Looks like you can hear me. All right, well, thank you so much. The energies are a bit critical this weekend. I'll be honest with you. I did not put this into words in the public energy forecast in these words that I'm going to use for you guys right now, but there's a lot of conflict. There's a lot of sudden crisis here for the next 2 weeks ahead of us. So we're going to have to really execute all the stuff that we've been learning here, just so you know. Okay, this doesn't mean we have to be afraid or anything. All it means is that you just have to make maybe a little more effort to bring all this into the physical, to really show up with your energetic sensitivity and use that to discern, what is supportive, what is not, what is integrous, what is not, what feels true to you, what is not. The energies of April bring in a wonderful opportunity for a second chance. There's a larger refinement process going on, and I've talked about this in the last energy updates. Healthy growth, maturing, renewal, those are all words that tune you into, for one, of course, the circular motion that we have with every year's energies, but also with your own journey. And there's a larger process coming to an end right now that has started in the late 80s. And this is for those of you who are into esotericism and metaphysics, and not a surprise. This is the sort of first big wave of spiritual awakening. And when that happened in 1986, 89, 88, sorry, a lot of stuff began to bloom, all the self-improvement, all this sort of new age spiritualism, kind of developed. There was the new age before that, but then the new type of spiritualism that was not so hippie oriented anymore. And this is coming to an end now. What does that mean? It doesn't mean that it's over. It means that we're going into the next developmental stage of this collective awakening, of this collective evolutionary process. And this means that you have to approach things in a more mature way now. And many of you guys know what this means. If you've been around back then in the late 80s, this was a whole different situation. This is a whole different environment and condition that we've met there. We had people that believed that, anything that had to do with energy or anything that had to do with energy work or from the devil, all that, those times are over with. The karma and chakra and energy, even energy healing, are commonly accepted words now, at least sort of in, like say in, social media. Okay, maybe not in mainstream media. Maybe your grandmother still thinks that there is some woo-woo stuff involved, but really today we can have this more, to avoid the word scientific, but we can have a more mature stance about spirituality. We understand that mindfulness is something that is beneficial for all parts of us, for the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, and that without the spiritual component, a really fulfilled or happy and whole and healthy life is not really possible. So there's a general acceptance now that spirituality has nothing to do, or doesn't have anything to do with religion or woo-woo. You know, it's something that psychology calls mindfulness, wakefulness, if you will, but we call this energetic sensitivity, really awakening to our inner energetic sensations and what this means in interaction with the world and other people, and of course also with ourselves and our energy management. So April is going to be the month of seeding new seeds, maybe coming up with a growth plan, and then concentrated action. The three pillars of growth, and this is something that requires us to really tune into the balance of the masculine and feminine energy that we always talk about. This month is going to be a month where the first part of the month, the first half of the month, will be dominated sort of by the negative expression of the physical, the masculine and the feminine energies. And the second part of the month will be more about the positive aspects of the feminine and masculine energies within us. And so you can see it's really just about finding the balance now, you know, so that you don't have to go through any of these like major renewal processes that are there. Now, the renewal process itself is nothing bad, but the reaction to it can be quite challenging. So here's a picture that I did today that you'll see in, you know, in some of the articles and so forth this month, just to remind people of the circular motion of our journey and the renewal aspect that can come out of destruction. Because we will see destruction this month, especially the first half. Then the energy management and the self-mastery aspect of that is then sort of where this is all supposed to lead to, namely to really find that place of peace that we've worked on in the energetic adjustment session last week, you know, and to realize that we cannot really create peace or contribute to peace or even feel inner peace if we are focused on struggle and suffering and fight and conflict. All right, so we got to realize that peace is a state of being that comes from within our heart connection, and this is not just some spiritual blah blah. You know, this is hands-on because it teaches us how we can combine self-love and the trust in ourselves to connect, reconnect, and claim our true inner power. And that's what self-mastery is, guys. So these are sort of the main energies here for this month, you know, is self-mastery, trust in self that we've already been working on, finding inner peace, learning when to let go of stuff, learning when to let go of things that we cannot control. From an energy management standpoint, that's one of the biggest issues that we have, is that we latch on to the stuff that we cannot control, and that puts us into this energetic stress, this you know, struggle, experiencing our life as struggle and experiencing everything as a contradiction, and you know, like really wasting our energy with a mental or emotional or sometimes even physical reaction to what is going on around us. So self-mastery is really the process of resolving some of that through absolution and accepting that this is a lifelong journey, but also recognizing that the purpose of our journey really comes through accepting that and through agreeing to this continual refinement process, this continual process of adaptation, integration, correction, and seeing manifestation as the result of that. So manifestation is not really something that we can't fully control. It is the result of our energetic choices, the state of being that we have when we deal with things, when we adapt, when we integrate, when we correct. And this month will be a great, great teacher for this. But we need to learn, or you guys already know this, but you need to like really pay attention to the physical integration of that And physical integration means not just into the body, but also into the 3D life, you know, your relationships, your finances, your job, where you live. So manifestation is a core subject actually of this month, but we're still struggling with the pre-steps to that. We're clearing out, you know, the stuff that is holding us back, that is preventing us from going into this place of inner peace and non-reaction that allows us to manage our energies better, and that allows us to go into this and to really feel this. This is the trust in self, this place of self-mastery. And we've just gotten out of a wonderful, wonderful marathon here. And I wonder if some of you guys have been in this marathon. Yes, some of you have. Does anybody want to share what sort of some of the things that you went through and how this conceptualizes for yourself? I mean, it's a bit early. Maybe we just had our last session, like not even 24 hours ago. But is there anyone who would like to share? As you know, you can also just text. You don't have to speak directly into the microphone. Just, you know, let us know here, you know, me while I'm talking, where this is going for you. When it comes to self-mastery, I wanted to talk about energetic stress levels and what that does to us, and how you, with all the tools and the knowledge that you have, how you can look at it in a different way, maybe in a way that makes it easier for you to tune into where your energetic state is at. All these infographics that I do, guys, they're all based on the same vibrational scales, and the color coding is very much linked to that. And as you know, I'm also bringing, you know, energetic states in conjunction, not just with their energetic frequency or their resonance, but also with the energy centers and with some of the healing processes that are linked to transcending those. Okay, so if you look at this gauge here, this is a different one. It starts with, you know, or you know, it's at the top you see the conflict, which is the height of energetic stress, and with your knowledge you can see the connection here. Also the height of ego reaction. Okay, this is like deep red okay. And down here, which is in this case, you know, as this is more like a thermometer, sort of where our energies the calmest, the most balanced, and the most peaceful. All right, and if you look at some of these things that lead to, you know, some of your perceived coping or ego mechanisms, then it may help you to see that there really isn't a big choice that you have, other than choosing not wanting to be there and letting it go, not reacting to it. So let's go through this real quick here. At the peak of conflict, inner contradiction, and the lowest vibratory state that we can have, our energy equates that of destruction, and this can be outer destruction and self-destruction. And this weekend here and the next coming days pretty much signified by that kind of energy. All right, this is why we're experiencing some of these, you know, warlike things. But there's also earth changes this month that, you know, all these things that we've been feeling the last couple of months, you know, like earthquakes and things like that, they will become prevalent this month, I'm pretty sure. Nothing we need to worry about, but something, you know, to just keep in the back of our minds, that this is all, you know, that everything is changing. It's not just us and not just our lives and our physical bodies, but also the planet along with it. All right, and in order to hold higher vibratory places, we got to shed some of these layers. that are, you know, like the crust, you know, that is holding everything together, that is trying to control everything, you know, the ego layers that we form. That's why I call them programs or patterns or mechanisms, because they're like crusty. They make us rigid. They make us inflexible. They put us into this place where we just try to hold everything together. And this is very similar what happens here sort of on a Gaia level, except for that, you know, the planet really doesn't care about us, you know, as its inhabitants. You know, it just does that shedding process over and over again for millions and billions of years. And there is you know, there is a similarity in all these universal processes, and I see them replicated everywhere. I see this in our skin, for instance. So skin issues will also be prevalent in April, besides back issues and skeletal issues such as joint issues and so forth, neck pain and so forth. They all have to do with resistance. They all have to do with control and trying to keep things together, all right? So the smartest thing is to really, this is how, what helps me is to really tune into my body and how the renewal of cells happens in my body. Within 12 months, guys, each of these 18 trillion cells that I have in my body, that you have in your body, gets replaced, gets renewed. And guess what? In energy work, we've always known this, but now there's scientific evidence showing to us that it is possible to reprogram each cell as it renews, which means there's a possibility for us to, and this is here where energy healing comes in, to reprogram it back to its original state. In fact, and some of you know this because I got really, really excited this week about some of the scientific articles that were published this week about how the skin plays a major role in this, how they just found out that we actually have the headline was something about a new organ, you know, but ignore that. That's not the point. The true point of this article was that there is a layer of cells in our skin that is very similar to stem cells, and stem cells are the kind of cells that don't really have a certain purpose. They carry the information of all cell types in them, and that's why they do so much research there, because, you know, if you can isolate a stem cell and tell it to like become a healthy heart cell, for instance, then this could be lead to the cure for cancers and heart diseases and any cell-related condition, even aging. And there's so much going on right now in this field, guys, that even though when you read these articles, seems unrelated to energy work, but it supports everything that we've always said. Namely, that you can reprogram yourself, that you can reverse aging, that healing is possible, that miracles are possible, that sudden remission is possible by tuning into the cell information. And how do you do this? Of course, science tries to, you know, up until now, they thought the only way to do this is through chemicals, you know, through chemical manipulation. But we already know that we can communicate with our cells through connecting with our heart and going into this higher vibratory state that has this full cell information available on a holographic level. This is big, big news, guys. Yes. How do you mean this, Heather, with food? In regards to food, I mean, this is where science, of course, takes it. You know, they want to use this for, of course, regenerative medicine. They want to use this for, you know, genetically modifying crops and so forth. But one of the things that I want to remind, or maybe not remind, because I don't think I've talked to many of you about this before, but there is a synergy between the planet and us humans. We know this, but there is, this synergy replicates, you know, in all interactions with beings on this planet, plants and animals, you know, everything that has spirit. And if you grow your foods, you know, with the same love and the same care and the same trust and the same alignment that you would want to spend for your own life, then what these plants do, and this has already been proven, it's just that it has never been contextualized in this way, then these plants begin to align to you, to your needs, and they will produce a specific set and ratio of nutrients that serves you the best. Many of you that have a good connection with plants, I've shared that with you, that if you grow plants, especially if you grow fruits and vegetables, to add, to literally spit into the water and to add some of your DNA into the water, into the food for the plant, so that the plant gets this information directly from you. Yes, and the renewal process, exactly. Okay, now I understand, Heather. Yes, in regards to fasting, in regards to things that help us to clear out our system, and I'm going to get to this here in a second. Yes, the antioxidants, or the micronutrients as we call them, those are the ones, you know, that contribute to the information that is being added to our cells. They can help to renew, they can help to strengthen, they can help to ward things off. All right, but just because, as Heather here used the example of blueberries, just because a food has these antioxidants, these micro or phytochemicals or micronutrients in them, doesn't necessarily mean that we're able to fully absorb them, to fully play them, to fully integrate them. This has to do with an overall attitude of healthy living as a state of being on all levels. So you can eat blueberries, but quite frankly, if you don't drink enough water with it, you know, or if you have some other deficiencies, you know, then these wonders, these miracles of nature, they can't fully unfold in you. And so with in the transmission world here yet, and where we do all these energy sessions, we often talk about increasing your capacity for light information, increasing your capacity for love. And that has to do with that. It has to do with you even being able, and that, when I say you, I don't mean the ego you, I mean your system being able to utilize this information. So through repetition, we train or retrain your energy system to build a muscle memory, so that you gravitate towards higher vibratory solutions and higher vibratory choices, right? But it is in the integration part, you know, where you bring this into the physical, where you make a conscious choice and say, no, I'm not choosing to eat this donut right now, even though I'd love to have one, but it's not good for me. It's not helping me. It's going to make me feel like crap, and it lowers my immune system by 90% within the next 10 minutes of eating it. Those are the type of things that I refer to when I say learn about your system, learn about your energy, also learn about your physical and your emotional and your mental structure. That's the reason why we emphasize, you know, this holistic education with the Sacred Self-Healing Program, where we bring in all these different kinds of snippets of information for you to motivate you to go farther when something resonates with you. So the tools and the learning, you know, what you do this month will, it's hard for me to actually say it congruently that way, simply because I know you already doing this, but the things that you can fully internalize this month and fully learn and bring into the physical will literally change timelines for you, will literally change the niveau of manifestation that you're aiming at. We suggest, you know, that you do a spring cleaning, and we're going to invite all of you to join us to do a 3-day light fast, like a reboot detox, as I've announced in the energy update here a couple of days ago. This will be done on the forum, so you get the instructions are already published, but we want to do this together. So if you guys, if this timing works out for you, we'd love to do this with you starting April 5th. So April 5th, 6th, and 7th, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And then, you know, like use the forum to share and well, basically to give each other pep talks. Because what happens when you do a fasting, and this is the same on a collective level, on an energetic level, on all levels, when there is a shift, when there is a renewal going on, then our ego gets triggered because it feels threatening. All right. And then your job is to learn how to balance your energies on all these levels so that you can stay present in your heart and not get pulled in any of these things. All right. It isn't until this state here, when you begin to fully feel, clarity, when you can feel that you're not resisting everything anymore, and when the anxiety and all that goes in. Yes. So, okay, awesome that you want to be in. Yes. You don't need to let me know if you want to be in. We're just offering this fasting together, yes, because it's a psychological thing. So when our ego gets triggered, you know what happens, right? You go into your addictions, you go into your negative inner communication, you go into your mental looping, and many of us here experienced this in the last 3 days with the Grace Redemption Marathon. You go into massive emotional release. But this is what we want, okay? We want this, and because we already have all these tools, we're okay with going through this. And there's only one last thing that can make this even more enjoyable, and that is doing that together. All right. So we've done this in the past, and it's wonderful. We're starting, Eloise, we're starting on the 5th. Now for you, that'd be the 6th. Okay, so I'll send out, the invitations to everybody with the forum link and the time zone converter. It's not important to be there on the exact hour. We're just going to start on Thursday morning, okay, with breakfast. And once more, we do not, for this reboot fast or detox, we do not recommend to go into extremes and do a full fast. We recommend a light fast with fruit and vegetable juices, preferably, of course, the kind that you make yourself that are fresh. Remember, antioxidants and most of the phytochemicals die after 20 minutes. So anything that's older than 20 minutes, guys, has almost zero nutritional value, at least not on the micronutrient level. It still has, proteins and sugars and fats and so forth. But, when it comes to juicing, it's really the fresh juice. No matter what they say on the label of these bottled juices, no, it's not the same. So don't waste that energy and that money on these extremely expensive juices, guys. I would recommend anyone who doesn't have one, get, even if it's just a cheap juicer, or even something like a NutriBullet or something where you just smash it all up, in a big smoothie. I usually prefer or recommend to smash things up rather than to extract them, because you want the fibers and you want some of the pulp, actually all of it, with it, because there's a reason why nature has created an apple with everything except for maybe the kernel. Some of these things are actually toxic, so they carry a chemical in them that's counterproductive to that process. So when it comes to like apples or tomatoes or oranges or even potatoes, we cut out the things, the kernel part, and the things where the sort of the inception has taken place. The stem, or where the stem connects with the fruit, we cut those out because those have toxic chemicals in them. Yes, and so you can do juices in that time. I mean, anything that works for you, even broths, light broths. So it's the reboot detox is more to allow your digestive system to clear out a bit, to support your lymph system, and to get a little bit of a fresh start here. For me personally, fasts are always a wonderful shift. Like, I can totally feel how my physical energy renews in that time, even though I have a hard time with that. So I need to drink a lot of juices, throughout the day. But it's about refraining from the solids, and that is what what triggers the ego, because the ego really wants the pleasure of eating things. And therefore, be prepared that it's not going to be easy emotionally, but that it's something that will benefit you after the 3 days. Those of you who want to go deeper, guys, Margie and Melissa, I don't know if you know this, they have founded a company called Whole Being, and they offer very intense detox programs, including recommendations for supplements, and they do blood tests with you before and after. They also have programs for getting rid of candida out of your system. If this is something that you would like to check out, I'll send the link here with the video. Melissa and Marty are both trance coaches, trained energy healers here at Trance Codes. Very recommendable. They start with a detox, a spring cleaning detox on April 9th for 14 days. It's a little different. It's not necessarily a fast. It's a detox with supplements and so forth. Yes. Oh yeah. People asking me about supplements. Okay. I don't know if you know this, but I've been in this supplement business 30 years ago, namely doing public lectures, proving to people why it's not good to take artificially produced vitamins. And then I was approached by a company who, back then, this was 1995, the first one, who was not really doing supplements from artificially produced vitamins, but from whole foods. They would literally, it was the process, the dry freeze process, the new dry freeze process back then that could preserve all the micronutrients and phytochemicals. And I still recommend this. I've been taking these supplements, which are only based on, basically shredded fruits and vegetables, dried up and encapsulated, since 1995, and can highly recommend this. Just 1 sec here. I apologize for this. Yes, it is Juice Plus that I recommend, and all the products that come from Juice Plus is very, very high quality. It's not very expensive, and many people ask me, hey, you're over 50 years old. How do you do this? Well, I do contribute some of that to Juice Plus, because it's not something that puts my system into any kind of imbalance. Through the whole foods that it adds to my diet, it allows my body to take what it needs and to just excrete what it doesn't need, but in a very neutral way. Heather is asking if you can get it in gummies. Yes, you can get it in gummies. All my kids have been raised with Juice Plus in gummy form. But the capsules are better because they don't have any macronutrients in them. There's nothing in them, and they're kosher. They don't use like animal gelatin. So yes, so since you guys asked, okay, if you don't know where to get it, then send me an email. I can tell you where to get Juice Plus, that you can get this everywhere in the world. So this is wonderful, awesome. Yes, I'm getting a heads up here from those who already taken Juice Plus. Wonderful, guys, a great choice. So let me go through real quick through the timeline here for April, okay? And then please ask questions. So we're entering April here with a little bit of stagnation and with all this sort of retro energies, okay? Like I've mentioned, the 1998 stuff is resurfacing one more time, just to, really be released. As far as like collective and political stuff is concerned, these are usually times where revolutions, bigger revolutions or social unrests happen. So, it's really possible for the first week of April that something big happens, okay? However, though, it's not 1988 anymore. So there is a maturity that, if we believe it or not, has set in the collective, and through this first wave of collective awakening, there's also many more people with higher consciousness level on this planet. So it is possible to manifest peace, all right? But for us personally, we just got to, remember that the irritations and the agitation that we see around us, you know, to not get infected by it. All right, to not get, it's very, very contagious. Okay, and to really like, you know, focus on peace. You know, I mean, you may laugh about it, but it is, you know, that ability exactly that will help you to navigate through this. The beginning, you know, of next week, you know, like so 4th, 5th, 6th of April, we're gonna have another revival of critical thoughts and critical inner voice. You know, people like, and, you know, some of that, especially here in the United States, has to do with the tax season. You know, you have to have your tax returns turned in by April 15th. And so there's a lot of this, like, you know, all the mistakes that I did, and this reminiscing about I should have, and why didn't I, and all that. You got to catch that mental looping there in the first week, okay? And keep asking yourself, and this will be one of your magic wands for this entire month, how is this helping me right now? How is this thought helping me right now? How is this emotion helping me right now? How is, you know, being angry at my wife or being angry at my boss helping me right now? And, you know, this may seem like a very, very simple question and easy to answer, but here you got to be careful, because some of you are in need of really expressing some of these things, such as anger, expressing some of the things that you need, you know, from your partner, from your bosses. So being angry, like say at your employer because he's been gradually, you know, disrespecting your needs or things that you had previously agreed upon, you know, needs to be expressed. So for you guys, this is actually helping. Or for those of you, you know, who've asked your partners to for support or for doing something where you agreed on resolving something together and it didn't happen, you know, for you guys, yes, it's helping, but not the internalized version of like a negative inner thinking, but of moving towards, you know, the outer expression and say, look, I'm really unhappy about this, you know, and we need to find a way together, but in a peaceful way, you know, and always sort of remembering that it's also about what the other person's needs are. So the second part of that question is really, how can I move into, you know, what supports me, what supports my goals here right now? Okay, what can I do to move towards my goal right now? And of course, then in the sense of self-love and self-care, what can I do for myself right now? And where do I need support? If you really go into this, guys, you'll find out that there's a lot of times where you think, you know, you're angry at this and that, and why didn't they help me, and why am I alone in this? You'll find out that the reason why you are doing this on your own again is because you made it yours. It's because you didn't even bother to ask for help, or you didn't even seek support. And for those of you who have this particular issue, you really need to catch that part, and it has to do with control and overcommitting and taking responsibility too much. And then those of you who avoid responsibilities, who avoid commitments, you guys have to ask the opposite question: how can I, you know, step up more? All right, so it's about the balance between the two, guys. And again, here, please ask anytime. Also, I'm looking at my notes right now. In regards to the physical, I said skeletal, mobility apparatus, back and joints, also teeth. You know, last year was the big year of taking care of our dental stuff. If you have not done so, this is your second and last, well, it's not your last chance, but this is a really, really good month to do this, because people are going to have a lot of tooth issues. Has to do with the first chakra aspect of this month, of the energies that are coming in. So right at the middle of the month, 16th, there's a new moon. New moon, as you know, always brings in fresh energies. And, you know, I look at these, the lunar cycles, just because I know that it affects most people. And the new moon that is coming in is now really asking you to use your energy wisely, to use, you know, to reduce the things that are unnecessary, and to follow up with energy management, in the literal sense, even at your house, at your, with your car, with your job, with your family, whatever you do. And this can go as far as like, sort of doing an inventory of your carbon footprint. Where can I become a smarter energy manager? Okay, where in my life do I need to reduce things, or do I need to shed things in order to, and this is important, invite more abundance, invite more joy, and to participate in this, and this is the good news about this, in this wonderful divine creation energy coming in at the middle of the month. It's the new paradigm, guys. This is renewal in full motion. This can lead to, a little bit of political stuff there around this time. I'm expecting quite a bit with the stock market going on as well. So if you were in the crypto spiritual group, this, I said volatility up until the 16th to 18th of April. Okay, and then we're going to see a whole new run on cryptos. So then towards the later half of April, it's all about self-care, self-love, but always in conjunction with energy management. And this sometimes means, not just sometimes, actually always, as most of us here in the Grace Redemption Marathon have experienced, exploring our options, and perhaps also identifying and getting rid of all the limiting beliefs that we have. Who still says, oh, I wish I could do this, but I can't? I'm waiting until I have this in order to do this. Those are limiting beliefs. And these need to be shed. They're not beneficial. They're not advantageous for your energy management, because you don't even know what is possible until you give it a try, or until you open yourself up for the possibility. And that's what wants to come in around the 20th. Okay, the last week of April can be cool. It looks like there's the peace energy coming in, the resolutions coming in, and there it's important for you. If you have stuff going on with work, with your relationships, and also with money, to really tune into masculine and feminine energies, and to really understand what these energies, what they provide you with. I said in the beginning that there's a sort of a first half month is the negative expression of masculine and feminine energy. Second half of the month is a positive expression of it. Yes. And if you know how to balance these energies within yourself at all times, being a good energy master, being, a self-mastery trainee, then you don't have to go through the extremes of nothing. But it's the last week, it's going to be very, very important for you to understand when to let things flow, when to open up and explore in a sort of passive way and allowing things to grow, and when to take action, when you need to water your plants. You got to put the seed in. That's a physical action. This is when you have to show up. You need masculine energies for that. You need the soil for it. That's the feminine energy that provides the space. Okay. And then you need the sunlight, which is also connected to masculine energies. And then you need the water, which is represented with masculine energies. And then you need the air. The air is food for plants. Did you know this? They eat CO2 basically. So whatever we breathe out, that's what they breathe in. And this is the synergy between us and plants. For this entire month, I keep on seeing these metaphors here of water, sun, and air and earth, the elements. This is very, very strong this month. And for you, this means to tune into what they can do for you. I've said this in the energy update. Drink more water than you already do. Take care of the nutrients, which is the good soil. Go outside, get sunlight on your skin. Remember, the skin, is one of these miraculous places where a lot of stuff happens. And The reason why I'm also expecting skin issues in April is because of this, the link to the seventh chakra, because we have continued seventh chakra influence in April, and then you need the breathing, the breathing, the meditating, and to let all that expand, to let all that grow again. Also, that you can arrive at a place where you have liberated yourself from all these old things, these residues, the fears, the limiting beliefs, and so forth, that are holding you back from growing, from, I don't want to say progressing, because each and every one of you has made wonderful progress in their own ways, but you know what I mean, right? Where you actually have the feeling that new things are growing. It's a wonderful month to start a new business. Wonderful month, especially the second half. First half, I'd say, take things easy, take things slow, and make a plan, and like the growth plan, as like a growth chart, and some conceptual work, and look at what are potential problems with the business, look at all the resources that you have and how they can play together and produce sort of the maximum outcome for you. But these are sort of the main healing processes here for the March, the April, the energies of April, and in the energy forecast, I've sort of interpret this a little more. So, do you have any questions, or would you like to share how you've how graceful you've gotten through March energies, for instance? We're still in March, okay? So, does anybody want to share how that's been for you? Silence, okay. Yes, very, very busy in action. That's very cool, Eloise, because action is, the masculine part that is needed, in order to, the concentrated action that I said earlier, to the follow-up, the actual showing up, and without that, we never get anything done. We can dream a wonderful world, but that's then, just a fantasy, and creates unrealistic expectations and a lot of inner contradictions and friction. Yes. Yes, a lot of you guys have had issues in relationships, I know. And some of you also had some really cool resolutions already coming up. Yes, tears and disruptive. That's actually a good point you're making there, Lynn. March was disruptive, but in a good way. In a sense of disrupting the old patterns. That's why I talked so much about shifting last month. Disrupting the old stuff that is no longer serving us, that is no longer good for us. Now we are seeding out new ways, a new paradigm. And this doesn't mean that everything that got disrupted last month was doomed to, be thrown out. No, it was a refinement process. So now we know a little better what we need. And we also know that if we don't heed what we need, if we don't ask for support, if we don't express that, then it's not going to be good, and we already know where this is heading. All right, so the learning experiences that we've made, albeit a bit painful at times, which is the nature of disruption, is that it feels painful and stressful for the ego, but it is an opportunity to grow, guys. So look at all these seemingly heavy or negative or intense situations of last month here in March as something that will help you to mature. Just don't forget about it, remember to remember. Remember when I said that? Yes, Tons to do, so busy, but clarity. Yes, so busyness, we got to be careful here with this. And this, Andrea, has nothing to do with you, but this is something that some of us, and this includes me, have an ego pattern that puts them in this place of constant busyness, which can also be a distraction and avoidance. Becoming a good energy manager means to understand or to know the difference between the things that you have to do on your own and things that you can outsource, things that can be delegated. And if you're not good at delegation, well, then you got to look at your codependency and your control issues, because then you have something there that's preventing you from becoming more energy efficient. Yes, we do have 2 spots for the hardware program here starting tomorrow. We have 2 spots left. Oh, and I don't know if you guys saw this, the new calendar for April 2018 is there. I will show this here on the screen. We also have a special going on right now for energy clearings with Jeff, discounted for $150. So the first week here of April we'll be busy with clearings. Let me get this here for you real quick. Yeah, I produce like 2 to 4 gigabytes of data every day. It's sad, but here's the April calendar. So the first week we're going to be busy with energy clearings and also the 3-day reboot. But new heart warriors that are starting with us right now, they're going to be thrown into this intense spring cleaning energy here right away. And then comes the inner child integration, because all these things that I said earlier, they trigger inner child issues with us, especially abandonment and fear of loss. So insecure attachment issues. And we're going to work on divine masculine and feminine energies, of course. We have a free workshop for you guys coming up on Tuesday. This is during the day. I hope this will work for you, but as you know, we also have a recording. This is a workshop, meaning that we work this together about how to overcome negative inner and outer communication. And then we have the etheric navigation intensive. Guys, if you have not participated in these energy training intensives, I highly recommend this. Even if you think you don't need to know how to navigate, astral worlds or whatever. It's not about that. It's about learning how to center yourself, and no matter what happens. Yes, we're going to look at the aspects of inner and outer world and other dimensions, but it's not for astral traveling. It's really just for learning how to feel your energy better as you navigate through inner and outer circumstances. And the marathon of this month is going to be the Sacred Heart Marathon, the hardest marathon of all. If some of you who have been in a Sacred Heart Marathon before may know, this is like 3 days heart connection, 3 days heart consciousness. So hard, guys. Training how to hold this. So I hope to see some of you guys in these energy training sessions, that even though we let all this flow into the sacred self-healing steps, and energy management, for instance, is explained in step 19 in detail, okay? And also, once more, remember that we have these 21 days of reprogramming the matrix program, the matrix programming in you, breaking through the matrix programming in you. It has everything in there, okay? So there's a lot of tools that you guys have access to educate yourself. But the energy training sessions, the transmissions, are there to put this in the physical. And as you know, most of the energy sessions have discounts for you as Sacred Self-Healing members anyway. Yeah, so if you don't have any questions, then I would like to close here with these pieces, these words of how to find inner peace. Remember this. I'm going to send you this graph here, this gauge, for yourself to just remember maybe where you're headed when you feel yourself going into some of these places. Thank you so much for your comments and your questions and all your support. Love you guys, and I'm wishing you a wonderful Easter. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.